Lil Jeff's final moments remain a haunting picture and tragic end to many who knew the young rapper. However, months after his death, it's been revealed that one call before he got shot down could have changed everything.
I begged him though, I swear to God, man, stay out here, gang.
Just weeks before tragedy struck, he had been in California, far from the dangers waiting for him back home. He was learning, growing, and, according to Rico Reckless, finally seeing a different path.
You should have saw how happy he was out here in Cali to be away from that environment.
But a decision against advice plus a return to Chicago would seal his fate. How Rico Reckless spoke to Lil Jeff before his death. In the unforgiving world of Chicago's drill scene, loyalty, mentorship, and survival often intertwine in ways outsiders struggle to comprehend. Rico Reckless, a seasoned rapper and street figure, found himself in a role he never expected, trying to guide a younger artist away from the dangers that ultimately claimed his life. That artist was Lil Jeff, a promising talent whose charisma and potential had many believing he was on the cusp of something big. But fate had other plans. Weeks before his tragic death, Rico Reckless made a desperate attempt to keep Jeff in California, far from the violence that lurked in Chicago. Even in their last phone call, he tried to steer him in the right direction. But as history would have it, Jeff returned home and never made it out alive. Before the world recognized Lil Jeff as a rising name in the drill scene, Rico Reckless had already seen the potential in him. To Rico, Jeff wasn't just another artist trying to make a name for himself. He was family in a sense.
I've been with Bloodhound Lil Jeff since before the internet thought he was cool. I told him he was gonna be cool though, cause he had charisma. People liked him, cause he just was like a little light skinned motherfucker. And like, you know, cause they want shorties, they just tall. So like, people with Lil Jeff, gang.
Rico took it upon himself to mentor Jeff, not just in music, but in life. He saw a young man who could be more than just another name in the endless cycle of street violence that plagued their city. And that's why, when Jeff found himself in California, Rico did everything he could to convince him to stay. According to Rico, Jeff was thriving on the West Coast.
You should have saw how happy he was out here in Cali to be away from that environment. Like, the joy that was in his face, I still got videos on my phone I can show you. When we get under, I can show you, like, you could tell, like.
Rico took Jeff under his wing, teaching him the importance of making connections. Everywhere they went, people recognized Rico from interviews, his music, and his street credibility. Jeff was in awe. "How do you know all these people?" he had asked Rico. When Rico explained the concept of networking, Jeff took it to heart.
He did it, I swear to God, Vlad, the whole day he walked around, like, everybody he meet, cause I'm showing like, all right, look, this how you do it. So I go in the spot, hey, Records, I f with you. I'm, all right, look, gang, look, take down my info, follow my gram, you can take down my number, I don't give a none of that. Lock in. So I'm like, and look, this one of the hottest upcoming rappers from Chicago, man, this Bloodhound Lil Jeff, man.
Seeing Jeff's enthusiasm, Rico begged him to stay. "Man, stay out here, gang," he pleaded. He even offered Jeff a place to crash, making it clear he didn't want him to return to the streets of Chicago, where danger awaited.
Cause they had a whole spot they was at, and I told him, like, even if you don't want to stay there, you come stay with me, man. Before you come stay at the spot with me.
Despite Rico's efforts, Jeff ultimately decided to go back to Chicago. Before he left, Rico warned him once again about the risks. "I spent maybe 40-50 minutes telling him just don't do certain no more," he said. He knew Jeff's reputation in the streets made him a target. "Be cool, folks," Rico had urged him. "They be on your ass." In one of their final talks, Rico tried one last time to reason with Jeff. He reminded him that he was close to getting a deal, that people were recognizing his talent. He was going to get a deal with Lil Bibby and Grade A, Rico revealed. Jeff had real opportunities waiting for him, but the streets had their grip on him. And no matter how much Rico tried to show him another path, Jeff couldn't escape the reality of his surroundings. Not long after their conversation, the news came. Lil Jeff had been shot and killed. The details were brutal. Some reports claimed he had been hit 19 times, though later accounts suggested it was fewer. Either way, the outcome was the same. Jeff was gone. Rico was devastated.
Man, that me up, though. I ain't gonna lie, I was sad. I'm sad. Everybody kept trying to show the video and I ain't like that.
But what disturbed him most wasn't just the fact that Jeff was gone. It was how it happened. When the footage of the murder began circulating online, Rico refused to watch it. Everybody kept trying to show the video and "I ain't like that," he said. "That made my stomach hurt." What hurt him even more was the fact that Jeff's crew didn't go down with him.
I ain't gonna lie, folks. If I was going on the drill with my homie, I'm down with him, folks. I don't respect me, folks, because we knew what the fuck we signed up for when we popped outside, gang.
In his eyes, Jeff shouldn't have died alone. The code of the streets was clear. If you ride together, you die together. But in Jeff's case, things didn't go that way. And for Rico, that was hard to accept. Looking back, Rico couldn't help but wonder what could have been.
Because he was gonna be big. if he would have stayed. I begged him though. I swear to God, man, stay out here, gang.
But despite his best efforts, the streets pulled Jeff back in, and the same cycle that had claimed so many before him claimed him too. For Rico, Jeff's death was another painful reminder of the reality of their world. He had tried to be a mentor, to offer guidance, to show that there was another way. But at the end of the day, he knew the drill game all too well. Sometimes, no matter how much you try to save someone, the streets don't let go. As he continues his journey, Rico remains haunted by what happened. R.I.P. my shorty, man, he says. He was really that. In a world where the line between life and death is razor thin, Rico Reckless tried to pull Lil Jeff to safety, but fate had already written a different ending. Lil Jeff's death. Lil Jeff lived his life with a gun in his hand and a beat in his soul, a true embodiment of Chicago's drill scene. He often rapped about dying by the gun, a fate he seemed to embrace as part of his reality. But when that day came on June 8th, 2024, it wasn't the epic showdown he might have imagined. It was a chaotic, reckless mission that ended in his brutal demise. This is the story of Lil Jeff's death, a moment that silenced one of the city's most fearless voices and left a void in the streets he once ruled. Jeff was a cornerstone of the Bloodhounds, a name synonymous with Chicago's South Side drill culture. Alongside his right-hand man, Q50, he turned their street life into music that resonated far beyond the blocks they claimed. Known as the Pistol Professor, Jeff's lyrics were raw and unfiltered, his presence commanding respect and fear in equal measure. For him and Q50, taking on their enemies wasn't just a choice, it was a necessity to maintain their reputation in a world where clout was everything. On that fateful June day, they set out on yet another mission, one that would prove to be Jeff's last. The plan seemed straightforward. Jeff, Q50, and a third shooter loaded up in a car cruising down South Rhodes Avenue, a street Jeff had referenced in his tracks as a battleground. Their target was a man later identified as Man Man, someone Jeff had been eager to confront. Leaked surveillance footage captured the moment it all unfolded. At the top left of the frame, a car door swings open, and Jeff leaps out, gun already drawn, firing shots with no hesitation. Man Man, dressed in yellow shorts, ducks behind a parked car and sprints toward a house. True to his relentless nature, Jeff gives chase, storming up the steps after his target, his weapon blazing as he closes the distance. But this time, the tables turned. As Jeff reached the porch, a second gunman inside the house was ready. The ambush was swift and devastating. Bullets tore through Jeff's body, stopping him in his tracks. He stumbled backward, collapsing at the base of the porch, his gun still in hand but useless against the barrage. His killers showed no mercy, emptying an entire magazine into him to ensure he wouldn't rise. When it was over, Jeff had been hit 19 times. The self-proclaimed demon of Chicago lay motionless, his reign cut short in an instant. The chaos didn't stop with Jeff's fall. Q50 and the third shooter, caught off guard by the counterattack, scrambled to react. The footage shows Q50 firing wildly at a passing car, possibly linked to Man Man, while the second shooter sprayed bullets at the house, hitting nothing but walls and windows. In the confusion, Q50 slipped, twisting his ankle as he tried to retreat. The getaway driver, watching the mission implode, made the grim realization. Jeff was gone. With bullets still flying, the survivors abandoned their leader's body and sped off, leaving him sprawled on the concrete as the enemy kept shooting. The scene they left behind was a war zone. 58 shell casings scattered across the ground, evidence of the ferocious exchange. Chicago PD arrived to find a crime scene straight out of a nightmare, marking each casing as they tried to reconstruct the shootout. But Jeff's body was missing. In a move that stunned even the hardest corners of the city, Q50 and the third shooter doubled back, risking everything to retrieve their fallen brother. They dragged Jeff's bullet-riddled corpse from the porch and raced to the hospital, a desperate act that spoke to their bond. A viral photo later surfaced online. Q50 and the shooter hauling Jeff into the ER, his lifeless form a haunting image of a warrior brought low. But there was no saving him. Lil Jeff was pronounced dead, his story ending in a sterile hospital room far from the streets he dominated. As news of Jeff's death broke, the internet erupted. On Reddit's Shy subreddit, fans and onlookers poured over the footage, spinning theories and debates. Some said Jeff had underestimated his opposition, caught off guard by the ambush that claimed him. Others called it a textbook case of drill music's deadly consequences, a life lost to the very violence he'd glorified. The irony was inescapable. Jeff died doing what he'd rapped about, chasing a target into their own domain only to meet his end there. From Twitter to YouTube, voices clashed over whether this was fate, karma, or just another day in Chicago's relentless cycle of bloodshed. One thing was undeniable. Lil Jeff had finally faced the other side of the gun he'd wielded so boldly. Jeff's death wasn't just a loss for the Bloodhounds. It was a seismic shift for Chicago's drill scene. He'd been a larger-than-life figure, a rapper and soldier whose tracks like Should Have Saw It had turned street tales into anthems. His voice carried the weight of the South Side, his flow a weapon as potent as the pistol he carried. On June 8, 2024, that voice was silenced, not in a blaze of glory, but in a frantic, fatal misstep. The surveillance footage became his final performance. Grainy frames of a man who lived fast and died faster, his ambition outpaced by the bullets that caught him. The aftermath saw Q50, now nursing an injured ankle, left to carry the Bloodhounds flag. The streets mourned in their own way. Jeff's music spiked in streams, his videos racked up millions of views, and his name trended as both a tribute and a cautionary tale. For those who knew him, the viral ER photo was a gut punch, a stark reminder of how quickly a king can fall. Chicago PD continued their investigation, but the streets had already delivered their verdict. Lil Jeff was gone, another name etched into the city's long list of lost talent. Lil Jeff's death encapsulated the raw essence of drill, a culture where art and violence blur, where every bar can be a bullet. He was a product of his environment, a soldier shaped by the concrete jungles of Chicago's South Side. His end came not with a triumphant last stand, but with a desperate chase that ended in defeat. The 58 shell casings, the abandoned porch, the hospital dash, they're the fragments of a legacy cut short. In the end, Lil Jeff didn't just die by the gun. He became a symbol of its unforgiving power, a drill legend whose final chapter was written in blood on South Rhodes Avenue. The feud that got Lil Jeff killed. The streets of Chicago have long been a battleground where loyalty, pride, and survival collide in a relentless cycle of violence. In the heart of this chaos stands the Bloodhounds, a name that resonates through the city's drill scene like a war cry. This isn't just a gang, it's a coalition, a brotherhood forged in the fires of Chicago's South Side, specifically in the Chatham and Woodlawn neighborhoods. For over a decade, the Bloodhounds have held their ground, their reputation cemented by rappers like Lil Jeff, Q50, and Vert. But fame in the drill world comes at a steep price, and for Lil Jeff, that price was his life. The feud that claimed him wasn't a sudden flare-up. It was a slow-burning war that erupted over a stolen chain, shattered alliances, and a thirst for vengeance that left bodies scattered across the city. The Bloodhounds emerged during the early to mid-2010s, riding the first wave of Chicago's drill movement. This was a time when the city's underground rap scene was exploding, fueled by raw beats and unfiltered tales of street life. The Bloodhounds weren't a single entity, but a collective of four main sets: Drill City, MTV 079, 400 East, and Chris World. Drill City, centered on the notorious stretch of 79th Street between Ellis Avenue and Cottage Grove, became the backbone of the group. If you've ever rolled through this part of Chicago, you know it's not for the faint-hearted. Shootings, police sirens, and the constant hum of tension define this block, one of the deadliest in a city already known for its violence. Lil Jeff, a rising star in the drill scene, embodied the Bloodhounds' ethos. Alongside Q50, he turned their street cred into music that banged through car speakers and headphone wires alike. In his video for Should Have Saw It, Jeff and Q50 strutted through Drill City's territory, exuding the kind of confidence that comes with knowing you're untouchable, or so they thought. For years, the Bloodhounds operated under a fragile peace with Trap City, another local set, as part of a broader alliance called Bloodhound 0679. This coalition united Drill City, 400 East, MTV 079, and Chris World with Trap City, creating a formidable front against rival gangs. It was a rare moment of unity in a world defined by division, but peace in the streets is as fleeting as a shadow. In 2023, that decade-long truce crumbled over something as seemingly trivial as a chain. Drill City members allegedly snatched a chain engraved with 67 Stalkin', a prized symbol of Trap City's identity. To outsiders, it might sound petty, a piece of jewelry sparking a war. But in the drill scene, where respect is currency, this was an unforgivable affront.
They know what they do.
So, okay, the Bloodhounds, y'all was cool.
Everybody that got a
That was my homie,
He
man.
stole the chain, bro. We tried like he took it. He stole my own chain.
Trap City severed ties with the Bloodhounds, and the streets split like a fault line. Most sets rallied behind Drill City, leaving Trap City isolated and seething with rage. The air grew heavy with anticipation, and it wasn't long before the first shots echoed through the night. The feud's first major casualty came on March 16, 2023, when Z Money, real name Z Nelson, Jeff's cousin and a Bloodhounds heavyweight, was ambushed on 79th and Kimball. Z Money was chilling in his car, waiting for a friend to finish at the dry cleaner when a vehicle rolled up. What followed was a hailstorm of bullets. Over 29 rounds tore through his ride. Z-Money tried to peel out, but the shooters were relentless. His friend returned fire, but it was futile. Z-Money bled out, leaving the Bloodhounds reeling and the streets buzzing with speculation. Some whispered that Trap City, his former allies, had orchestrated the hit. Others pointed to a girl or that stolen chain as the motive. Whatever the truth, Z-Money's death shattered any lingering trust. Jeff and Q50 honored him with tattoos, his name on their eyelids, Z's on their trigger fingers, vowing retribution. Lil Jeff wasn't one to mourn quietly. He was a stepper, a soldier who turned grief into action. On June 25, 2023, he allegedly struck back, targeting Trap City's Leal, Jalil Goins, in Chicago's Little Italy neighborhood. Known as University Village, this gentrified enclave is a stark contrast to the South Side's chaos. Trendy cafes, upscale condos, and a low crime rate. But that night, the streets invaded. Leal was in the backseat of an Uber when a gunman, widely believed to be Jeff, approached on foot and unleashed over 20 rounds.
I'm down there on the ground crying and shaking and stuff. Pow, pow, pow. They said it was like 8 shots. No, I believe it was more than 20.
The high-capacity firearm left no room for error. Leal was riddled with bullets through the rear window. The driver, Robert Smith, sped to the hospital, but Leal was already gone by the time they arrived. For Smith, the drive was a nightmare, haunted by the realization that his passenger died in his car.
The stop signs and intersections to get away. So at one intersection, I had to stop because there was a car coming through, and then I turned to him to say, "Hey, I'm going to take you to the hospital." And he said, "Okay." Then the next time I stopped, I had to stop at a light because there was 2 cars coming through the intersection, so I couldn't run it immediately. I looked back then, and he wasn't moving anymore.
Leal's death wasn't just another statistic. He was tied to Project Hood, a violence prevention group led by Pastor Corey Brooks. Brooks mourned him publicly, calling him the son of an employee and decrying the senseless violence. The hit's boldness, executed in a neighborhood unaccustomed to such chaos, sent shockwaves through Chicago. Yet, despite witnesses and a clear motive, the shooter melted into the night, leaving no arrests in his wake. Jeff didn't hide his involvement. The next day, June 26, 2023, he, JB Bin Laden, and Q50 dropped a remix of Lil Yachty's Coffin. The video, filmed before Leal's death, opened with Q50 showing old footage of Z-Money, a tribute to their fallen brother. The lyrics dripped with menace, but one line hit like a sledgehammer. "Catch him in a fishbowl. Now he's swimming with the fishes." A fishbowl in street slang is a car with no tint, an easy target. Leal's Uber had clear windows, and Jeff's bar was a taunting confession. This wasn't just music, it was a declaration of war, a middle finger to Trap City broadcasted for the world to see.
Folks, can we get half that little slab today? Off that Leo? I don't need no for you. If you don't want to smoke Leo, I ain't trying to match. I ain't gonna lie. Let's play a new. If you ain't smoking my eyes, I can't smoke your eyes.
The Bloodhounds kept sliding. On August 31st, 2023, they targeted Glendale, a Trap City affiliate, at a Clark gas station on 67th and Eberhart. Shooters pulled up and lit the scene with gunfire. Glendale took multiple hits but survived, barely. That same night, Woodlawn erupted. 4 people shot, including a 4-year-old caught in the crossfire. Glendale later took to social media, thanking supporters and firing shots of his own at the Bloodhounds. The war was escalating, and the body count was rising. By January 2024, the feud reached a new level of brutality. Monterio Monty Drench Williams and Robert Lil Rob Boston, brothers from Nitty Block, a set aligned with Trap City, were executed in broad daylight. This wasn't a reckless drive-by, it was a calculated hit. The shooters bided their time, then unleashed a barrage that left Monty and Lil Rob lifeless. Their deaths rocked the hood, and Jeff didn't hesitate to gloat. His social media posts were laced with subliminals, while tracks like Double Trouble and Street Confessions turned real-life losses into lyrical trophies. For fans, it was a puzzle to decode. For the streets, it was a scoreboard. But the streets are a two-way game, and Trap City wasn't about to let Jeff's reign go unchecked. They hit back, targeting Lil Squirrel, one of Jeff's closest allies. Squirrel's death was a gut punch. Jeff took to social media, raw and unfiltered, calling him innocent, insisting he wasn't deep in the life. But in this war, innocence didn't matter. Proximity to Jeff was a death sentence, and Trap City made sure he felt that loss. The post revealed a rare crack in Jeff's armor, a glimpse of the toll this life exacted. Yet, it only stoked his fire. The cycle of revenge tightened its grip on Chicago. Lil Jeff himself would end up losing his life on October 12, 2024. Despite his death, the Bloodhounds still stand, but Jeff's absence looms large. His music, Should Have Saw It, the Coffin remix, lives on as a testament to a life cut short by the very world he glorified. In Chicago's drill scene, fame and infamy are two sides of the same coin, and Lil Jeff flipped it until it landed on the wrong side. The feud that killed him wasn't just a clash of gangs, it was a tragedy of pride, loyalty, and a city where peace is a luxury few can afford. For more content like this, click on the videos showing on your screen now.